Alyssa, I wasn't under a rock. I'm just a developer, and I don't really care about security, okay? So I just want you to know that. And I tell everybody that. That's a hard act to follow because hackers rock, and they're in movies, and they are, like, brilliant. And I never wanted to be one because I really don't care about security. So my talk, I was like, okay, I work at a museum. How can I fit this in? And the second day, somebody told me the second day of presenting is always the good day because then you have a chance to understand what's happened in the beginning of the conference. And like me, I changed my whole deck, the whole thing, because I felt out of place. Because you guys are bankers, you are, oops, sorry about that. Bankers here, there are people in all these industries that I have never worked in. And I was like, okay, I don't have a clue what you're talking about. And one of the things I was like, and I had a talk with Mehdi, and I was like, okay, you're talking about embedded and open. Thank you, sir. One, okay. You talk about embedded and open, and I'm like, I think I understand what an embedded API is. It's your refrigerator, is what I'm thinking. I think I understand what an open API is. It's like going to like Google or Wikimedia and getting their stuff, right? But I had to go to a website and say, okay, do I really understand what embedded and open are? And I found this on this really cool website, and it's really about banking, but it helped me understand what embedded and open were. And I was trying to figure out how to add that into my presentation. To me, this is embedded. You're like in one place, and all the things that you need, that services, are in that one place. This is open, where you can consume whatever you want. And I thought, oh, good, I got it. But why does it have to be just open and embedded? Why can't we have a hybrid? Because I think hybrids work, right? But the fact is, I really didn't understand open and embedded. So I said, can I fit that into my presentation? No, I can't. It has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. But I did learn some stuff. So my presentation is refactoring storytelling by APIs. This is our storyline. And just like a really good book, none of those things actually match up to what I'm going to talk about. But you know, like a good presenter has to have an agenda. That's what the agenda would be. This is me. I apologize, my son wasn't finished with my avatar. He drew that one. I cut my hair in the beginning of the summer. And I was like, oh gosh, false advertisement. I did look like that, but I look like this now. I am the senior application developer for the National Museum of African American History, which is a unit within the Smithsonian. I'm also an application architect, and I am a DevOps engineer. Refactoring my slides, I was like, you know what? I need to let people know that I can do stuff with APIs. So I added the rest of these things to my title. I'm an API evangelist. I am an API strategist. I really like that one because I work for the Office of Digital Strategy and Engagement, and I'm an API guru, okay? I really am not an API guru. I actually got into APIs and recognized that APIs are very important from my good friends, Shelby Switzer and Mike Edmondson. They are like the people who actually are like the thing that got me going. And so that's my talk. And the thing that's relevant to this talk is that I'm a computer science adjunct faculty member. So I do know education, I do know pedagogy. So what is storytelling? Storytelling and oral tradition. Oral tradition is something that has happened because there were no written systems, right? How do you get historical information, your laws, everything about your culture without a written language, right? So you had to rely on oral traditions. Storytelling is almost like oral traditions, except for storytelling, you can embellish a little bit, right? It's not really disseminating and communicating facts. It should be, but it's not. Sometimes you storytell to have a moral to it, to share, like you do these things and the moral outcome is this. Sometimes you do it to scare your kids to death so that they don't do something bad. Sometimes you do it so that you can one-up everybody, because that's what geeks do. We one-up everything. That's what storytelling is, but oral tradition is not that. Oral tradition is really trying to stick with the facts, to have one generation understand what's gonna happen and not repeat it, even though that never works, and then you just keep going on. The thing about oral traditions and storytelling more often, is that you can't tell whether or not the embellishments are problematic or just undocumented features, right? Maybe you have this thing in the story, it's not really accurate, but it's applicable, right? Maybe it's not true north, but it's magnetic north, right? It's almost there. So storytelling is a way that APIs can actually help, because APIs have to be accurate, they have to be verifiable, and they kind of have a bias, actually. So everybody has a story. You have stories when you're at work. You have stories when you're with your friends. You have stories everywhere. And everybody is a storyteller because that's how you engage people. You engaged me. It was a great story. It was factual. It was probably oral tradition, actually, because it was factual. I learned a whole lot. And I'm like, I used to use Wireshark. Wow. And that was way long ago in college, because we had to do it, right? So everybody had a story. So I made a new acronym because yesterday, some other speaker made an acronym, and I was like, you know what? That's how acronyms in the tech field get started. You're up on the stage, and you make an acronym. So I made an acronym. It goes for APIs as a storyteller, API-ATS, right? I did have API-AAS, but I was like, okay, I'm gonna compete with APIs as a service and not API as a storyteller. So I said, I'll just put the in there. And so now this is my acronym. If it takes off and when I'm dead and it's legacy, you heard it here first, okay? APIs can be a storyteller because they just facilitate communication. That's what they do. They facilitate the exchange of data from one place to another. Storytelling is the same. And again, sometimes APIs are a little bit biased, but they have to be, right? You don't want my API in your banking service. What need do you have to know about Martin Luther King when you're trying to do some type of bank transaction? It doesn't make sense. But if you have a website that has your corporate responsibility, which is really kind of cool, where you have to say how many trees you planted and how many, I don't know, Starbucks cups you recycled, you need to have that, so you can have it there. So for the Smithsonian, I'm bringing it back around, because I have ADD and I kind of go over there and I have to bring it back. So storytelling in my context for the Smithsonian, we have a sort of a refactored mission statement, but our mission statement from John Smithson, who's actually bequeathed the land that the Smithsonian sits on, the whole point of us is for the increase and diffusion of knowledge. That is our historical foundation. That is what we do. I live and breathe it. That's why I'm a teacher. I love sharing what I know. I love it. I love it. I want to give what we do in the museum to the people, and we've kind of made it there. And the reason why is because we have important things to say, because we are oral traditionists. That is what cultural institutions do. They want to share facts. They want to share this historical research with you. And so when our new secretary took over, he was from my museum. He's a very good visionary. He's very much into digital. He kind of took this particular historical mission and said, what we need to do is we need to make it have a greater relevance in people's lives. It has to have a broader reach, and it has to be impactful, because cultural institutions differ from, let's say, when you go to a chamber of commerce, is that there's an emotional impact. You go to a cultural institution, your mind gets messed up, and your feelings get messed up, and your ways of thinking get messed up. How many of you have gone to the Holocaust Museum? Anyone? You know, you walk through that place, you don't even want to talk, right? And I used to live in Germany, and I went to Dachau. The birds don't even visit that place. There's no sound. Short story. So my son is obnoxious, and we went to the Holocaust Museum, walking, being reverent, and he says in a not inside voice, "This place is stupid." He was 13 years old. He didn't recognize what it was, and I was so embarrassed. But the emotional impact, if he had said that in a bank, nobody would have said anything, right? But you say that in a cultural institution, it's like, okay, not good, right? So I don't take him to cultural institutions with me anymore. So goal 3 of that vision, so there are lots of ways, there were lots of goals that went to the reach, relevance, and impact. But goal 3 was reach 1 billion people. I don't know how much a billion is because I've never had $1 billion. I really wish I did, so I have some reference. But 1 billion people is like a lot. And what we've done is we've created a digital office. Like there's now a digital officer. We've changed the name of our group. But the key thing here that helps us leverage APIs is the fact that we develop emerging museum-related digital technologies. That is what makes us different when we do our APIs. And we use new digital platforms. And because we're just now engaging in that, we don't have the perspective of API first. That's my whole thing. That's why I'm an evangelist for that. But we did take first steps, right? You have to start somewhere. So the first thing that happened was that we digitized, we are still digitizing the assets that we have, our collections, which are objects, right? Everything that we have. We have images, we have posters, the galleries have artwork, we have all sorts of things that need to be digitized. So that was step 1, and we are still ongoing because we have a storage place that has mummies there that can't actually be put on the floor. There's a lot of stuff there. The next thing we did was this contractor did the Smithsonian High. And what that does is you go up to it's really in a gallery, it's in Hirshhorn. You go up to the artwork, you use the QR code, and you get to see information about the artist and about that piece of art. That was our next thing that we could do because we had some of the digitization. The next thing happened for all you people is the Smithsonian Open Access Project. And what that is, it's an API where you can go, we do CC0, Common Creative Zero, so not licensed, none of that stuff. You can do whatever you want with that images. To me, that makes me cringe because, yeah, I don't like it that you can do anything to see some of these images. But you can do whatever you want, and there's an API for it. You should hack it. Just to see, right? And so I'm going to stop here for a second because the last bullet is mine. That's me, right? The unit level, so all of the galleries, zoo, museums, they're called units. Unit level open access projects, we don't have them. That is something that I am working on. The problem is, how many people how many people work for IT enterprise? Okay, I don't have anything against you people at all. I really don't. But as a developer, I get tired of you hiding behind that security thing, right? Nope, can't do it, security thing. Nope, can't do it. You know what? All you do is scan the server. You don't even know what's going on in my application, so don't tell me it's a security thing. I'm using Debian, okay? And it's all locked down, so go away. They just say it's a security thing. Oh, you're using open source? It's a security thing. It's horrible. So I have to work through that, work through with these nice people to see if I can get access, well, I can get access to our API that actually feeds the open access project. Because of how banking and all those things, you guys have regulations. We don't have regulations, but everything we have are donor related. And some donors don't want their assets or their collection objects to be presented in a certain way because it's not good. It doesn't handle its sensitivities, right? So we can never, even if we had access for our museum, make it truly an immersive experience for somebody who's on the web and can't make it to DC. We can't do that. But that's my goal, is to have an API where I can pull our stuff out, and then what I can do is go ahead and say, all right, you developer in the Chamber of Commerce, if you're having like a 200-year anniversary, go ahead and use the metadata here, find your state, and pull out everything that we have for your state. I worked on a project, the Freedmen Bureau records. Does anybody know about the Freedmen Bureau? Awesome. Yeah, it's the National Archives had those records. It is 13 spreadsheets, unstructured data with no continuous reference points. I didn't know this. So my first attempt, because I had to take it and make it searchable, my first attempt was to put it in a SQL database. And so now I have to teach myself Mongo, and I don't hate Mongo. I just am a DBA. I need structure. Again, I have ADHD. I need structure. Mongo, I don't even get a collection, but I have to work with it. So I need to make it searchable, because I'm also using Solr to try to use it as a search engine. Those records are the first records of any type of substance that document free enslaved people, because the Freedmen Bureaus were set up along, mostly in the South, to help displaced people, not just enslaved people, because of the war. And so, thank you so very much. I forgot. My mouth is sticking together. I'm so sorry. Wonderful. So, that's what the importance of the Freedmen Bureau records are. And there was a big, huge thing from Congress to the National Archives, and they're like, you need to make this searchable. I found my family members in there, and you can get like a lot of historical information from it if you wanted to find out like smallpox. So I've been through the records. I'll get back on track. I've been through the records a couple of times trying to scrub and make my own keys and whatever for that data. And you have no idea how many things are under murder. Now, I was looking for murder only because my first time through, I found that there was so much murder in those records. So I used it as my test case. Like, if I don't get the word murder more than like 15 times, then I'm not gonna do it. And this was in like all sorts of stuff. But it was about the Civil War. Of course there's gonna be murder. So, for me, in order to achieve my goal of a unit level type of access, I have to have a process. I am truly a DevOps engineer. And when I first started that journey, I was like, I'm a system admin, I'm a DBA, I know exactly what I'm doing. I worked for AOL, blah, blah, blah. And these tools are gonna be good. And I sold my leadership on DevOps strategy. They were like, go get it, go ahead, go to those conferences. We're gonna do containers. I don't even know what Kubernetes is, but we're gonna do that. We're not a product development shop at all. We're a museum. We outsource a lot of it. I actually am the application developer for the less complex interactive. So when you go and you play with stuff in the museum, I actually develop those. That's me. This is only me, right? So I need a big, huge CI/CD pipeline, and we need to switch from GitHub to GitLab so I can take advantage of those tools. Not. I had to walk back so far from my leadership and reset expectations because I was like, the tool. I'm not doing that with this API thing because I actually have to write the strategy for the APIs that we're doing. I am not doing that. What I should have done with DevOps, which I am doing with API, is do we need it? Do we need an API? Answer is yes, because it's a pipeline, right? We need to have APIs. But do we need to have a gazillion APIs? Probably not. So my process is to ask myself who, what, how, and why. And so the who is, who's the target audience for the API? Who's not the consumer, not the developer, but who is this data supposed to be seeing this stuff? Because that's going to inform the design and the metadata and everything that you need to send to the developer so they can make it engaging for these people, right? So for me, it's the visitor. The visitor is my heart and soul and the educator. Because we have the educator who's doing the oral tradition and sharing this information and the storytelling, and we have the learners who are consuming it, synthesizing it, making it their own, adding it to, and then sharing it with others. Then the what? What is it that, what data, what are we sending? What are the resources? So the resources are digital assets plus the historical research and the results of the historical research. The how for me is not how are we going to do it, is that how is it going to get there? What vehicle is actually going to be displaying this thing? For me, it's in gallery, blank, not in gallery. So it's either in the gallery or not in the gallery. So that's everywhere, right? And so if it has to display, I had to make an application. I'm sorry, all these things come to mind and they just make me laugh, so I want to share with you. I had to make an application, and I asked my boss, okay, is this going to go on a mobile device? No, it's only going to be in gallery. 3 times. I don't like to nag, but I need to ask 3 times because 3 is my magic number. So, are we going to put this on a mobile device? It's not going to go on a mobile device. Okay. So you're having me do this really quickly. I just need to know if later it's going to go on a mobile device. Year 2. Oh, we need to put this on a mobile device. Oh my gosh. I didn't know none responsive design. Nothing to make it so that it didn't work for 1080p. And so I had to go ahead and refactor that thing. I got really good at it, though. I really spiced up my JavaScript. And when I actually, okay, there's not that many people here, and you guys we're in New York. So if you get to DC, I don't sign my stuff, so you're good. I like to learn new technologies. And when I learn new technologies, I use them in interactives that go out to the public. And so they might be wonky. They're definitely going to need to be redone. And they may not be the right thing to do, but it's my way of training myself. So you guys are my test subjects when I go ahead and make things. And so hopefully I don't do that with APIs after listening to you, because I'm a little bit scared. I might have to back up for that. The why. Why is important, right? I really wanted to put why first, but that would be like the bottom line going to the top, and I didn't want to do that. So my concession was making it red. Why is important? Why are you doing this? And I'm like, okay, we're doing it because if not now, then when, right? We need to get there. We are digital. I was going to play this for you, but this is a use case. Oops, sorry. Sorry, it's not playing. Anyway, that's the contemplative court. It's a space, I'll put it back so you can see it. It's a space in the museum that is static. It's a room. It is low-level lighting. There's this circle just like this, and water comes down. I usually go in there when I come from the history gallery. The history gallery is 3 floors underground, and you kind of circle your way up from the beginning of slavery through freedom, through all that stuff, and the last thing is President Obama's inauguration, which makes me cry every single time. And the contemplative court is around the corner. But it has these sayings on the wall. But if you don't know who Sam Cooke is, what's the point, okay? We have Nelson Mandela, we have Dr. King, but they have these sayings, but you may not know in context. I want to make an API so that a person can have a gaming experience and then put it, I don't guess a QR code, I haven't figured that implementation yet, but be able to take it and say, okay, how do I see this in context? Oh, who is this person? Who are the contemporaries? And does American history have anything related to this, right? So that because one Smithsonian is one of our goals, and to make it a one Smithsonian. Let me hurry up because I think I only have 30 seconds. Refactoring APIs for cultural institutions, they have to engage emotions and make an emotional response. APIs can do that, right? APIs are not the static thing. They have to exist to instruct, sow seeds for introspection, and they have to challenge assumptions, and we do that really well. So my API, our APIs, have to be subjective. They are subjective, they're vehicles that support our historical mission, and they support our mission now, to build the reach, to get out there with the goal of extending the story outside of the teller. Any questions?
Wow. Thank you very much. Wow. I think that's one of the best definitions I've heard about extending the story beyond the teller, right? Wow. We have time for one question here. I know, scratching the head.
Awesome.
Then I will go with that question. Do you think at the end, like institutions like Smithsonian will deliver APIs to be the source of truth for the spread of information? Like you say, embedded, you were talking about embedded. You understand embedded better a lot, right?
Thanks to you.
But the thing is really the idea, like, this data is provided or, by APIs comes from Smithsonian Institute or other institutions. So like to have the chain of facts,
right?
The oral traditions, but on the digital world, right?
Right.
Do you think it's the future of institutions?
I think it's happening now because our API is in the classroom. We have a big, huge education center that works with all the education institutions, like of K through 12, and they are able to, and they make content for classroom use. And so that is the way we should be doing it, right? Getting historical facts, things that have been researched, not things that are kind of iffy, that were put out there because somebody's grandparents were there, right? We need the big story. So I do think that for a cultural institution, because we have researchers, because we dig down and we try to get the truth, that we should be the source of truth. We should be the thing that if people need information about, I don't know, furniture in Japan and way back in the Ming Dynasty, I have no idea if that was in Japan or not, but that is something that we need to be. That's something that we need to have.
Thank you very much, Rayvn. Thank you.